Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and this video, I've got a strong opinion on it. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I've got a strong opinion on this, and it's going to offend some of you people. So if you don't want to hear an opinion that you might disagree with to the point that you are offended, I recommend you leave now. Consider this your trigger warning. For those of you who are not easily offended or who might want to hear another opinion on something as sensitive as the handicap, or if you consider that an invitation to watch and be offended later on, you may continue watching. But the Equal Rights Center is suing Uber because the service is not handicap friendly or easily handicap accessory. And their complaint is that the Uber cars are not modified to be wheelchair ready. Some of them are, but they're not always readily available. Like, you know, some areas you can go and you can get like a car and it's handicap ready, fine. But in other areas, more likely not big city areas, it's either difficult to get them, it takes a lot longer to get them, or it's not available at all because some of the drivers don't have handicap accessible vehicles. And they're suing Uber for not doing much to make the Uber experience more accessible to handicaps. And here's the thing. I understand their frustration. I believe me, I know what it's like to have a handicap. I am legally defined as handicapped, believe it or not, with a disability. I actually qualify for the handicap placard. That's what it is, because I am autistic. Also, when I was born, I had a huge stuttering problem, which meant communicating with people was difficult. Thus, handicapped, I suppose. But here's the thing. Yeah, having a handicap sucks. It sucks, and you can't do everything you want to do in life sometimes, or it hinders your ability to enjoy certain aspects of life. And you know what? I'm sorry, that's life. I know that you have the Americans with Disabilities Act, but you know what? It can't guarantee everything, because here's the thing. The reason you are having a hard time getting an Uber is because Ubers are not businesses, or at least they're not a business. That is someone's personal car, their personal time. They don't always have time to fit the car to meet handicap needs. That's not what they're primarily using the car for. You know, they are using it for themselves. And to make a little extra money on Uber on the side, and you know what? They can't have a car that's going to fit a wheelchair all the time. It's just not possible. And for those who can never get one in some areas, is because, hey, we're independent contractors. Uber doesn't hire people. They don't have to hire people because we're independent contractors. Independent contractors can get away with not doing certain things that the law says you need to do. Because you're working for yourself. You're working from your home. You're working from your own property, if you will. And that's why a lot of Uber drivers will not, and cannot in some cases, modify their car to be handicap accessible. For that matter, regular taxis aren't always handicap accessible, because while there are definitely taxis that, you know, are handicap accessible, they're not always, you can't always get one easily. Like, you know what? Sometimes you have a disability and you can't do what you want to do. It sucks. It's not fair. It's life. It's life. So this lawsuit, in my opinion, does not have a whole lot of merit, because the only way, here's the thing, they are suing Uber, but Uber does not actually employ any of the drivers. It's independent contractors. For this to actually go into work and be effective, the Equal Rights Center would have to go and personally sue the 250,000 Uber drivers that are on the road. That is not even close to being feasible. It's not close to being feasible. And you know what? Though, yeah. Oh my gosh. The thing about handicap accessible is that it's not always even handicap accessible. Like, handicap is such a broad term that if I can be qualified as handicap and I could stand up on two legs if I want and walk around the room and sit down and look at the camera and talk to you, if that's handicap, well, then there's a problem with the definition of the word handicap. For that matter, some people have iron lungs. They aren't handicapped on a different level. They are just handicapped. So just because a store is handicap accessible doesn't always mean that, you know, Phil, who has to sit and have this giant iron lung be carted around New York City, doesn't mean he can go to every store. You know, people can accommodate people with handicaps within reason. And when it comes to Uber, they have provide within reason. If someone signs up for Uber and they have a car that is handicap accessible, Uber will ask them, do you want to be a handicap accessible car? And they will say yes or no. And if they say yes, great, then that is someone who can pick up someone with a wheelchair. If they say no, well, too bad. If someone calls on an Uber X or an Uber XL and they get there, they're just going to have to deal with whatever they're given. And here's the other thing. There are services out there that help handicapped people and people with wheelchairs and cart them around the city. They exist. And you know what? If you know, these people who are, the Equal Rights Center knows these places exist. They should tell their clients, use these services, don't use Uber. Uber, maybe you'll get someone who can help you, but it's not guaranteed. And you know, with the way the system works, we can't guarantee that. We can't force them to do this. And you're just going to have to go with someone else. What is wrong with the concept that if one company is not meeting your needs, you have to sue them until they are meeting your needs? Just go somewhere else. Go someone who is meeting those needs. It's not hard. But anyway, I take a little bit of offense to stories like these because, yeah, I was born with autism and a stutter, and my parents raised me that, hey, you know what? You've got these disabilities, you're handicapped, and the world doesn't care. They do not care. You're going to have to learn to live with the world. The world is not going to learn to live with you. And so I have built my life to work as much with the world as possible. There are still times I struggle, but overall, I still work with the world. Because the world sure as heck doesn't care if I'm shy, or if I'm awkward in social situations, or if I have to consciously think about what I'm saying every minute of the day, or else it's gonna come up like you know, it's gonna come out like, I don't know if that's exactly how I sound when I stutter, but you know, when I get flustered, I definitely, like when I get really genuinely upset, it starts to come out. But I have learned to deal with it, and it's not fun, but sometimes you gotta do it. If you wanna play with the other kids, you gotta be this high to do it. And if you're not this high, you're gonna have to go on the ride where you are the appropriate height. And I'm sorry about that. So, okay, I guess it's time you can send either hate mail below or any comments you have in the story, whether you think this is right or if it's wrong. And you know what? If you think that they are right in going after Uber for this, hey, that's fair. I want to know what your thoughts are on it. So please do that. And like, favorite, share, subscribe to the video. If you enjoy the videos I make in general, consider becoming a Patreon or buying some swag from the Great Media Universe store. Also, if you want to try drive through Uber or Lyft, much better company, yourself and make a little extra money, there's a referral code below where you'll get a nice little bonus, and I'll get a little bit of money too to help support the channel. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.